What's going on, guys? Prince here, and the FGO official Twitter announced a little bit ago that the Valentine's 2021 event is coming out on February 3rd. Now, this event is pretty good, and also one of my favorite servants is coming soon. So, in this video, I'm gonna go over her skills and her kit, and then there'll be gameplay of her in the background just to, I don't know, I guess allow you to come up with an opinion on whether you're going to summon or not. Personally, I would summon because I love Murasaki, and she is actually pretty good. She's a pretty good farming caster, especially with a certain overpowered art support caster that comes pretty soon for NA, so hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so going over her kit, you should be seeing gameplay of her right now. I am using the FGO wiki, so go support them, check them out. It's an amazing site. I'm pretty much on there 24/7. So, starting off with her attack, she has 11,300 attack around, and then when you grail her, it's 12,400. It's kind of a middle average attack stat for a caster. Normally casters don't really have high attack stats, and it's kind of made worse by the fact that they have a 0.9% attack modifier, which is it's really stupid. I don't know why they have that, maybe for like lore reasons, but nonetheless. Her HP is close to 13k, grailed is 14k, so HP is kind of mid to high. For what you're going to be using for farming, HP isn't really going to matter that much. Attack will, but HP won't. Probably the most important stat, NP, on attack is 0.45%. Now, that may seem really low because I know it is low. There are some servants that have over 1%. Trust me, it's not an issue. She has 6 hits on her MP, so you're going to be charging MP, and she also has 2 arts cards with high hit counts. So those are really the important stats when you go over. Her skill 1, it's called Song of the Poet A. Now, it reduces all enemies' defense for 3 turns by 30% at max level, and then it also increases her damage against demonic tag enemies by 30%, and this is all on a 6-turn cooldown at level 10. So, this skill in practice is pretty good on final waves, because you want to kind of hit your hardest on the final wave, and the demonic damage is nice because there are actually a lot of demonic enemies that you'll fight in farming and just in content in general, and having that on a 6-turn cooldown is kind of nice, depending on how long the battle goes. And the 30% on both is pretty nice, so if you're fighting a demonic, it's like a 60% attack boost. Her second skill is called Witchcraft Lyric D+. Now, despite the low D+ rank, I think this is probably her best skill. She has an 80% chance to steal the MP, which is pretty high, and she also has like a ton of like debuff, success rate, all that nonsense. So it's pretty likely that you'll get this off. And now, while it's not really a huge thing, it's still there. It also increases her MP, or charges her MP by 30%, which is pretty significant, and then NP damage is 20% for 3 turns. And this is all at level 10, and it's on a 6-turn cooldown. Now, I think this is her best skill because, 1, it's a battery, which in practice she doesn't really need, but it's good to have the 3-turn NP damage. And then the ceiling is always nice if, it's good for stalling and utility and whatnot. So her third skill, I think this might be her worst skill. It gives damage cut for 3 attacks for 3 turns to all allies by up to 1,000 at level 10. It gives debuff immunity to the party for 1 time for 3 turns, and then it increases party's buff removal resistance by 100% 1 time for 3 turns again. So it's all on a 5-turn cooldown. I think this skill, in certain situations, it can be good. So if you're fighting like a challenge quest that tries to nuke your buffs and does all this nonsense and shenanigans, and it does like a ton of attacks, it's good to have that damage cut and the buff resistant removal stuff. So in certain situations it can be good, but I think in general it's her weakest skill. Now, for level priority, I would say go for her first skill, her second skill, then her first skill, then her third skill, so 2, 1, 3. Her passive, she only has 2, but passives don't really make a huge deal. So she has Territory Creation C+, kind of a low rank. It's only 7% art performance. But I mean, she's an art servant, so any kind of arts buff counts. Item Construction C increases own debuff success rate by 6%. So that's going to push her chance for getting that seal off to 86% roughly. So again, it's nice to have. Her Noble Phantasm, like I said, has 6 hits, and it actually inflicts buff block status to the enemy for 1 turn, and so this is going to make it harder for them to buff themselves, which if you're fighting challenging content, that actually comes in pretty handy. Not so much in the JP meta, but in global, or NA, it's going to be useful. 450% to 750, pretty standard, it's AoE, and then her Overcharge is actually really good. You get 150% to 200% damage inflicted to demonic enemies on Overcharge. So her kit is kind of based around dealing damage, like really high damage to demonic enemies. And trust me, she'll get a Noble Phantasm off on demonic enemies, and you'll crush them. It's crazy. So her Ascension mats and her skill mats are all pretty normal. Her Bond CE increases party damage against demonic enemies by 20%. So again, just hammering in that, like, beating demonic enemies to death. So that's her kit overview. Overall, I would say she's not really a amazing, like, standalone unit, but she is an amazing AoE arts caster if you need one, because again, like I said, down the road there's going to be a certain, I'll just say her name, Castoria. When she comes out, Murasaki becomes amazing. She already is amazing against demonic enemies, but when Castoria comes out, she becomes, like, generate 100% from an NP amazing. So I obviously really like her. I hope this helps you make up your mind on whether you should summon for her or not. So I'm Prince, signing off.